Hello and good afternoon. Welcome to the IFX 2016. This is the 12th edition of International Exhibition on Foundry Technology Equipment Supplies and Services and the 7th edition of Casting India Expo, an exhibition for casting happening right here in Codicea Trade Fair Complex in Coimbatore. Today we have with us an interesting guest. He is Mr. Paranj Bey, and he is the Vice President of Jaiswal Nico Industries Limited, and it is based in Nagpur. He has travelled all the way from Nagpur. Welcome to the Forays Polymer stall, sir.
Oh, thank you very much.
How are you doing today?
Quite fine. It's a nice exhibition and nice people like you around.
All right, thank you so much. And have you visited other stalls, or is it this your first stall?
Oh, no, I did visit some of the casting manufacturer stall located in Hall D over there, and now starting from this end and then covering up in next 1.5 day rest of the stalls around.
It looks busy, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very much, and it should be. That is what is required by the industry. That stalls needs to be busy, so business will also come up.
Exactly, exactly. And the thing that I liked about this expo, which is very noteworthy, is they do it on a rotational basis. So every year it happens in a different part in India, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. Like 2 years back it was in Chandigarh, and then it again came back to Bangalore. Then here we are in Coimbatore. Next year it will be in Calcutta.
All right.
So, and most appreciated thing is at one go you can meet with many people, can see many products, and then pick up the exact one which is required by you, and you can have a very good discussions, technical as well as commercial, during this particular session.
Yeah, I was going to come to that. Are there any technical discussions that are planned?
Maybe tomorrow we already have a discussion session with Sinto Wagner, as well as one more Chinese company. Name is a bit difficult for me to immediately pronounce. And we will be discussing mostly on the capital equipment requirements of our units.
All right. So, you know what, you've been in this industry for a long time. Tell us a little bit about your journey so far.
Frankly, I did not started with this industry, foundry industry as such. I was mostly associated with the electrical sector, work with various international companies like Siemens, Crompton Greaves, GEC, then GEC Alstom, and then finally joined with Jaiswal Nico Industries, who are one of the pioneer industries in foundries in central India, and probably the biggest foundry industry in central India right now. And I'm with them from last 12 years. And initially I was looking after the procurement of various requirements of our units. There are total 8 units in and around Nagpur, and all procurement was centralized under me. And currently I am looking after all corporate matters of our company.
All right, wonderful. You certainly have done many things in your career so far, I can see that. Now, tell us a little bit about your association with Forays Polymers. I think you've been associated with us for some time. And Forays also, I see that, has undergone or gone through an exemplary growth phase. What do you think are some of the contributing factors for this?
Very, very interesting story. In fact, my association with Jaiswal Nico and with Forays Industries exactly same number of years and days that I have spent in the foundry industry.
Oh, interesting.
It was absolutely an incident that I joined Jaiswal Nico. I entered in my cabin, and in next 5 minutes, the first person I met was Mr. Vikas Garg.
Oh my God.
And obviously that time Forays was not that a big group what we are seeing right now. Subsequently we had long interactions with each other, and now today you can see with his dynamic leadership, Forays has gone up to a peak in this particular field of adhesives as well as resins and catalysts. It's a fantastic growth, phenomenal thing which we have done. And even today we are almost weekly we interact with each other on various topics, matters, share experiences. I also learn many things from him.
Thank you so much for that insight, and I hope this relationship, this wonderful relationship, continues for a long time. Do tell us, you know, a little bit about the challenges that we see in this industry. What are some of the challenges, and are we able to overcome this at all?
The foundry industry is a engineering industry, but at the bottom of the supply chain. But it's a very base industry, you can say. Although this is a, but that this particular sector of industry is a must for any country, whether it's a developed, underdeveloped, or going to get developed. Because without casting, nothing can. You cannot build an aeroplane, you cannot build a truck, you cannot build even a bicycle cannot be built unless otherwise you have got some casting component coming.
Right.
So it's a base industry. And since this being a base, the product realizations are very low. As a result, this industry always is under tremendous pressures of margins. Now, during say last couple of years, there were so many legislations which has come especially in order to protect the environment. I do agree that environmental protection is a responsibility of every citizen, every industry and every society. But some of those legislation has suddenly put lot of restriction in availability of the material for the foundry industry, which has in turn affected the overall working and profitability of foundry industry. Now that with the Indian Institute of Foundrymen having Apex Forum and meeting with the DICC and taking up the issues with the government, and incidentally that our Prime Minister Modi ji in his 3 months back when he had delivered a speech, he also appreciated that yes, we need to do something for the foundry industry because it's a base industry. Now that the government has come up for the help and they are taking up the issue with respect to ministries and resolving them faster, as a result we are slightly coming to the comfort zone, but still we are not. Another issue which we face foundry as a whole is availability of the talent. This is an industry where you have to work with the base material like sand and coal and lot of fumes and lot of adverse kind of a atmosphere. Right. And all this new generation which is coming is more and more intending to go towards IT or more of a white collar job.
Yeah,
they are not.
In the AC type of
they are not ready to get into that shop floor, sweat all along the day, stand in front of 1400 degrees centigrade furnace where the liquid metal is coming out. That kind of a hardship, somehow this young generation is not ready to take up. So getting a right talent is a very big problem right now foundry industry is facing. Although there are few initiatives, we are trying to give up some schemes so that we can retain the talents available with us as well as trying to take more talents. But at the same time, still it is a very difficult job for us to retain the talent, and that is going to be a very big issue for the foundry industry.
What about when you're talking about retaining talents, which is going to be very tough in this kind of an industry, where you're saying it's not an easy job, it's not a 9 to 5 job either, it's toiling a lot, right, with your sweat and blood. When you're talking about that, would it be better that big companies, large companies such as yours, have a college and a training institute, so you sort of catch them young. You catch them when they come out of high school and you get them into the mold and get them into your institution. So you teach them, you train them and you absorb them. Is that something that can happen?
What you said is very much true and right. Yes, right from the say collegiate kind of a days we need to catch the people. But still the core issue remains same. That they do come, they work with us for a few years and then again switch over. Because the hardship which they have to face in this particular industry, probably this kind of a hardship is not available maybe in other industries. Right. And that's one of the young generation is not getting attracted to this particular line. It's not only for the engineers or a technical person, even at the ground level if you see, we do not get a very skilled labor for doing our job. Again, the issue is a hardship, because all the jobs in foundry are still today are being done physically by lifting one thing to another. Jobs like grinding, jobs like welding, these are very hard jobs and very tiresome jobs. So getting a required skill also is an issue for us. And the only way to overcome, which I also expressed in last meeting with DICC, is maybe with the help of government, we should float kind of an institute who will provide small kind of automation solutions to the foundry. Okay. Because foundry, as I said, is being a very base industry, having a very tough time in terms of having the margins and profit. They cannot invest in a very big kind of automatic setup. What they really require is small automation here and there, which will take away the cumbersome job of the labor. At the same time, the overall working style of the foundries will change drastically.
Also the dependency.
And dependency on human will go down, which will give a better quality and precision.
Right.
So all this is something we are really looking for. In fact, I have come over here and trying to explore those solutions also. That will somebody undertake grinding jobs for me? It's automated grinding machine that they should manufacture and give it to me.
Right. Right.
That kind of automation.
Right.
So that is how I am looking
will
at the thing.
automation add to the cost?
If it's a small automation, it may not add to the cost substantially.
Okay.
And today, what is happening that when you are doing it through a person, the kind of a job what you will get with the machine will be precise and accurate without any rejection. Today, as a thumb rule, foundry undergoes the rejection of 3 to 4% from their customers. Now, if it can be brought down to 1% or below 1%, that's a fantastic saving. And against that, this kind of automation, this kind of a cost will be nothing. They will have a great benefit by doing all these things.
Okay, well, thank you for elaborately explaining the challenges in this industry. That was very interesting to hear. Also, tell us, Mr. Paranjpe, what are your perspectives on Make in India campaign?
Make in India campaign, which has been recently taken a center stage, maybe in industry of India, is really worth welcoming, and I think all of us should work for that. See, this country do not have dearth of talent and intelligence. We have got a lot of intelligence available.
Right.
Issue is this intelligence is being used by some other countries. Why our own people should not serve and help our own country to come up and come to the stage where we can be at the top of the world.
Right.
Because if you see, most of the top institutes of
Yes.
the world are having Indians
Right.
right at their help.
Right.
So why you can see today the Microsoft is having Indian, you are having almost all top institutes are having Indians at the helm.
Yeah.
Why our people can't take our own country to that level?
Right.
And with that perspective, I think Making in India is a very correct campaign, and we all must support to that. We should see that we try to help our own country and thereby helping our own people.
Right.
And we should do everything best we can for this. And I fully agree, appreciate, and we also we are going to work for that everything should be Make in India.
Right. Along the same lines about Make in India campaign, do you agree or do you think that the quality that we are producing here, is it export worthy?
I really say that there is nothing like this as a quality, no quality. I can give you at least 10 such examples wherein you will find Indian products are at the top. You might have heard the name of Jaipur Footwork.
Yes.
Jaipur Footwork is an excellent example.
Right.
The kind of a artificial feed which they produce is no lesser than any other manufacturer in the world. Even Japanese are not able to imitate that perfectly. So that's an example that we can reach at the top, and our products can be a highest quality products that you have.
have to strive
So
for
yeah,
it.
only thing is our mindset. What they say is, like Crosby has said, that quality is nothing but it's always free.
Right.
It's a question of your attitude.
Right. Well
So
said.
if you change your mindset and say that yes, I can do the job properly,
Yes.
I can, then you can. If you say I can't, then you will never.
Right. Where there is
So,
a will, there is
yeah,
a way.
absolutely true.
Yeah.
So quality wise, I don't see our country lags behind anywhere. We do have full capability. What we really is required is change of our mindsets
Right.
and start thinking, yes, we can do it. I can do it.
Correct.
You can do it. Everybody of us can
Yeah. No, that's wonderful. It's very inspiring, very positive, very motivating to hear such words from you. Wonderful for me to sit and absorb all what you're telling us about the foundry industry. Well, thank you very much for stopping by at the Forest Polymer stall, and we wish you a pleasant stay here at Coimbatore, and we wish you a wonderful time in the next 2-3 days visiting all